Hello, welcome to Akulmek Live. I'm Kanchan Verma, and in the series of Delhi Sultanate, yet again we are with Mrs. Meeta Joshi, who is a renowned historian. So we'll be discussing about one of the important aspects of history. So before that, I would like to welcome her. Welcome to the show, Meeta.
Namaskar, Kanchan. How are you?
I'm perfectly fine, ma'am. And today we were discussing, as you noted, we are discussing about Delhi Sultanate, and there is a great aspect is about the war of Panipat. So, why this war was necessary? That's what I would like to know, and what made Lodhis to get defeated by a new invader, Babur.
See, after Balban, after Balban's rule, there was no good successor who could take the legacy of Delhi Sultanate forward. So there was a decline in Delhi Sultanate. And then after Balban, Sayyids, Lodhis, they came. In Lodi, Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler, and he was a very, very, arrogant type of a personality. He never assimilated with other people in the empire, and in that process, he had many enemies around him. In fact, Babur was invited by one of his cousins, Behlol Lodi, to India to have a war with Ibrahim Lodi. You know, these internal feuds were so bad in India that time. Before Babur met Ibrahim Lodi in the field of Panipat, he already had 5 expeditions in India. So he consolidated his position that way. And he knew about the climate, he knew about all the intricacies of Indian polity that time. India was politically divided into two groups, two rival independent groups that time. The supreme power was in the hands of Afghans, but they themselves were divided. Ibrahim Lodi, the Sultan of Delhi, and Agra was not the master of entire northern India. The nobles of Bihar were powerful enough to oppose his authority. His uncle Alam Khan and Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab, were planning to capture the throne of Delhi and Agra. So he knew about these internal politics which was going on in India. When Babur came to India, I'll just give you a little backdrop about Babur. He was born out of Turkish Mongol wedlock. So he had the ferocity of Mongols and the ability of the Turks in his blood. He's a very tough warrior, Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur, as he was known, and he was the person who founded the Mughal Empire in India. Now, what happened when he came to India? As I told you, the political condition was not so good, and Babur had an upper hand because for the first time, the use of gunpowder and field artillery was introduced in India, which Ibrahim Lodi did not have. With the sound of the cannons, the elephants of Ibrahim Lodi's army, they got annoyed and they trampled their own soldiers because uh, when any animal is irritated, they will not see whether they are our own people or they are, the invaders or foreigners. So those elephants, they trampled the army of Ibrahim Lodi itself. So on the First Battle of Panipat, it was fought on 21st April 1526 AD. And why, as you asked me, that why this Battle of Panipat is significant. It is significant because it ended the Delhi Sultanate rule, and a new rule, the Mughal rule, started after this first battle of Panipat. That's why it is so significant and important in the pages of history, because completely Delhi Sultanate was demolished by the first battle of Panipat, and Babur started and founded the Mughal rule in India, and thereafter the Mughal rules for around 250 or 300 odd years.
Well, I would like to know what is the duration? What was the duration of a war of Panipat? And as you mentioned, the first time the gunpowder was used on Indian soil. So, what are other features of this war? And as you said, it's very important because it established the Mughal Empire in India. But what are new things which happened in the war scene and later on that was used in wars in India?
See, before the battle started, both armies were stationed face to face for 8 days, from 12th of April to 19th of April 1526 AD. And at last, Babur, he started the war and sent a contingent of about 5,000 soldiers and made a night attack on 20th April, but it failed. Then again on 21st April, Babur used two techniques. Okay, these are known as Mulugma and Abara. It was dividing the army like into east, west, north, and south, so that from all the fronts, the Lodi's army was covered. They were trying to take away the attention of the people, of the soldier of Ibrahim Lodi's army, and they succeeded in it. And then Babur's army, as I told you, had an upper hand because they, first of all, they used the gunpowder and field artillery, which Ibrahim Lodi's army lacked. Use of cannon. Okay, use of cannon was the turning point in the first battle of Panipat. And that was, though the army of Ibrahim Lodi was huge, 20,000 troops. It's a huge number. But all those 20,000 people, along with Ibrahim Lodi, were killed on the battlefield.
Well, when we are talking about Babur and his features about his art, war, I mean, the craft of war, we are talking about when Babur. So it's, I think, very essential to really discuss about Ibrahim Lodi also. What were those features? Though he got defeated, but he is a name when we're talking about that period and Delhi Sultanate. So I would like to know more about Ibrahim Lodi.
See, Ibrahim Lodi was not a popular sultan. There were reasons, because he was very arrogant in his behavior and suspicious in nature, which created a rift among the Afghans. And they were unable to face their common enemy jointly. And this was one point which inspired Babur to invade India, because there was this rift among the own people of Ibrahim Lodi and the Afghans. Yeah, and before him, the other Delhi Sultanate rulers, they were very popular. Like if you see Razia Sultan in slave dynasty, or you see Alauddin Khilji, you take up Balban, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, they were famous rulers and they were loved by people. But because he was so arrogant in his behavior and very suspicious in his nature, so even the Afghans disliked him. And that was the main reason that his own people, they invited Babur to have a war against Ibrahim Lodi. And thus this first battle of Panipat happened, which changed the entire track of Indian polity by ending the Delhi Sultanate and establishing the Mughal rule in India.
Well, as we discussed that there was some chaos in those period, and that's what helped Babur to invade India. So, what are those characteristics of Babur which really help him to establish a Mughal empire here?
See, as I told you, there were many reasons behind the success of Babur. The very first reason was that he was an efficient and resourceful commander, and he had several seasoned and disciplined warriors with him who made his task easy in India. Having a good, capable army is the key to win any war, and Babur owned one. Okay. Number two, his war strategies, his tulugma, and his efficient artillery paved the way to his success in India. Then he, because he understood that the political situation was not very good at that point of time. So he took advantage of that and he struck at the right time. So all these things contributed to his success.
Well, it is an important aspect of history, and it was so good to talk to you regarding this first battle of Panipat. We'll be meeting again and discuss further about our history, and we'll discuss the great kings and the sultans in coming series. Till then, bye bye, and you take care.
Thank you, Kanchan.